I feel like e-commerce has been tainted, like it's like almost get rich quick and like easy, but it's honestly not. It's a really, really fast-paced moving industry, and you have to be able to adapt and change and grow with the changes in the algorithms, with the changes in the trends, and that's just the nature of this business. And the people that really make it in e-commerce are the... What's up, guys? In this video, I'm gonna go over the 5 biggest mistakes that I see when it comes to new Etsy store owners or even experienced Etsy store owners. And some of these things can be really detrimental to your business. So in this video, I'm gonna say, let's go ahead and avoid these 5 big mistakes for your Etsy business. All right, guys, let's get into it. What's up, guys? My name is Hannah Gardner. If you are new to the channel, I talk about mostly building brands on Etsy and Shopify. I have personally built an over 7-figure brand on platforms combined, and now I've been sharing back that experience here on YouTube, just helping other entrepreneurs along the way. Sometimes when you're starting out, you just don't know what you don't know until you know, so it's really beneficial for you to be learning from other entrepreneurs and, you know, investing time in your education and watching videos like this so you can avoid some major mistakes that a lot of people make. So let's just get right into it. The first biggest mistake that I see, which this sounds like a little bit cliche, but I just want to go a little bit deeper than most people on this topic, is photography. Photography is the first impression that people see before even the keywords, for the most part, is of your business or your product listing. So what you need to do when it comes to your product photography, you need to be making sure that you are doing your product research and your competitor analysis before you launch your products to see who is at the top for a similar product that you are going to sell, or your competitors per se. So you want to see who your top competitors are that exist on the first pages of Etsy search pages for your keywords, and see what they're doing. And your goal coming into the space producing photography is to either meet your competition where they're at or beat them. Sometimes when you're first starting out, like if you're a new business owner and you fundamentally have never done, you know, graphic design or photography, or learn how to, you know, match colors together to produce really aesthetic looking pictures. Sometimes when you're just starting out, you have to have a really honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, am I the best fit for this job in my business? Because if you fundamentally don't come from a design or a photographer background, you know, you coming out of the gates doing it for the first time, you might not produce that competitive of, you know, pictures. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But for the most case, when you attempt at doing your product photography for the first time, you know, ask your friends and family, ask people, you know, do you think that this competes with my competition? And if it doesn't, I cannot emphasize enough, if somebody literally can have a worse product than you, you know, your product could literally be curing cancer, but if your competition is beating you in marketing, meaning they're making their products and staging their products more aesthetically than you, your competitor is gonna win every single time, because e-commerce is such a perceptual based business. And like I said, sometimes you being your only data sample, being the judge of that, is not a big enough data sample. So go ask your friends and family and see what they say. You know, show them different product listings, different main images, and see which one they would click on essentially. There's also software where you can actually try this out. I'll put the link in the description, where you actually can run surveys on the main image that you want to use compared to your competitors' main images, and use data to actually see which one gets the highest CTR, which stands for click-through rate. So I made this the first #1 biggest mistake, because I see this all the time, and people just think that they can just throw up anything and it's going to become successful. Unfortunately, e-commerce, Etsy, Shopify, whatever it is becoming more competitive. So you really need to ensure that you're producing you're creating marketing efforts very, very well. With that being said, Etsy gives you 10 slots to add photos. If Etsy says you have 10 slots available, try to use all 10 slots as well as a video. And I always say something is better than nothing. So even if you're not a professional videographer, whatever, having something there, even if it's just you recording it on your cell phone, is better than nothing. And people also resonate with that. And videos obviously are the highest converting type of content that's out there now that we have TikTok and Reels and YouTube and everything. Everyone is getting used to video. You really should try to have videos. So number 2 kind of goes into number 1, where I'm talking about the creative side of your business, which is having non-optimized branding. So having a bad logo design, having ugly packaging, having kind of ugly graphics that are inside of your, product listing. So if you have a photo that has graphics in it describing some of the attributes or variations or options of that product, those are called, photo graphics, basically. That's kind of explaining your listing. These types of photos are really common on Amazon, but they're becoming more common on Etsy as well. Now, again, similarly to tip number 1 or mistake number 1, really having that conversation with yourself. Am I the best person? Am I the best fit for this in my business? And if you fundamentally have never understood, how to do creative marketing design, making things look aesthetic, understanding how to do logo design and graphic design, video, or, putting colors together, making colors and fonts go together, or creating a really competitive logo, all of those little moments of truth, which I personally call them moments of truth. It's, these micro moments that people have when they meet your business for the first time. All those little moments of truth are so vital, because you're being judged every single time someone gets a little impression of your logo or your banner photo on Etsy. All those little things are super important, and to have them optimized and competitive can never hurt you in comparison to your competition. So there is a lot of Etsy stores that do have ugly logos and don't have banners, don't have a fully optimized storefront with an About Me section, and they still do really well. But I always say, if you're gonna set it up like you're going to the Super Bowl, you're not trying to go to the high school game, set yourself up, fully optimize your branding and build it to be competitive, because it can never hurt you, especially if the day comes that you do have a lot of competition. The people that are doing and paying attention to all these little details in their store are eventually going to win. If you want to give a go at it, I do suggest using a software like Canva. Canva has thousands of templates. It's kind of like Photoshop for beginners. It's the absolute easiest software to use when it comes to setting up, doing graphic design, whether that's logo, making graphics for email templates, making graphics for your Etsy listings, for Instagram, for making stories, even like short videos. Like, Canva is so easy. So check that out in the description, because they have like literally thousands of templates. It will give you examples of what fonts look good together, what colors look good together, and you can actually set up folders and design palettes so that you can go back and use them every single time you need to make a graphic for something in your brand. The goal with branding is really to make sure that everything is in sync with each other. It's a similar concept in interior design. When you're designing the inside of a house, if you have a color palette of all the colors and all the accent colors that are gonna exist throughout your entire house, if you put all those colors next to each other, in theory, they should all blend together and make sense. And sometimes when you're first starting out, you don't have that eye, but with softwares like Canva, it kind of is like so user-friendly that it kind of shows you and teaches you how to do that. But even with that, from consulting and working with students now, even with them using Canva, sometimes it can still end up looking a little bit amateur compared to their competition. In the beginning, I could do the bare minimum, but I look back at some of my beginning designs and I'm like, wow, this is like horrible actually. But that's how you learn. And if you are gonna be the entrepreneur that wants to do everything themselves, just don't be hard on yourself. Graphic design is just like interior design. Like, it takes time to acquire that skill. But if like fundamentally you're not the best person for this job, I would recommend hiring someone on somewhere like Fiverr. Fiverr, you can outsource people from other countries for relatively cheap. You could probably get like a personal branding package for hopefully less than a couple $100, maybe even cheaper. In which case, if you are gonna go that route, I would just really make sure that one, whoever you hire has past experience with Etsy, and two, the person you hire is not just basically using a templated thing from Canva, because a lot of people on Fiverr are actually just reselling templates that they buy on the pro plan on Canva. But also 3, that the person actually has really good reviews. So on Fiverr, you're able to see like the past work they've done, you know, other clients they've worked with, and they also get rated just like on Airbnb when someone rates your house. It's the same idea on Fiverr. So I'd really look for somebody that's a really good performer and has a lot of positive feedback. All right, my third biggest mistake is not doing optimized keyword research. So this is really, really important. Etsy or e-commerce in general is not like, you know, 10 years ago where you could put up a scrunchie and you were one of 3 people selling scrunchies and you would make a bunch of money selling scrunchies. Now there's competition. The competition is only going to get worse. So it's really important that you're putting data behind your decision. What does that mean? That means using software tools like Everbee and eRank, which I talk about all the time on my channel. Everbee is a Chrome extension that will pull sales data and the top sellers on pages for certain keywords that you're searching for. And it's gonna give you a lot of key metrics about the listing. It can tell you the tags of other people's listings. Ding, ding, ding. If you're seeing the tags of your best-selling products on other people's listings, that could mean that you could use those tags as well when it comes to optimizing your listings with keywords. It also shows you other like estimated sales data. And remember, all of these numbers in any software that shows data like this, it's all heavily estimated. But what it does show you in general is who is at the top. And when I pull my Everbee Chrome extension here and I pull the analytics and I sort this by the top seller, it's gonna show me who is selling the most units, or in theory, who is probably one of the 5 top sellers for this keyword essentially. And so that is what I wanna see. So it's really important to do competitor analysis, and Everbee allows me to pull data on who is at the top and show me what tags they're using, keywords they're using for these best-selling items. Some other indications that a product is a bestseller is because it actually has the bestseller badge, it has an Etsy's pick badge. Other things like in Everbee, it will show you the date that the listing was posted. So if it was only posted 3 months ago and it's already at the top, being, you know, one of the top people for that keyword that you search, if it's already at the top and it's showing you that it, you know, the listing is only 3 months old, that means that they're getting to the top really, really fast. So there's something about that product that shows that it's winning in a very short amount of time. So all of that research is really important, and making sure you're analyzing those listings when you're doing your keyword research. And sometimes doing this, when you pull the tags from your competition's listing, you'll find new keywords that you didn't even think of before. Now, the second part of this keyword research and doing keyword research properly is taking those keywords, putting them in a notepad, and then checking them in eRank. After you do your keyword research like this and you produce a list of keywords, you're basically looking for your best case scenario keywords. And what does that mean? That means when I throw them into eRank is gonna show me the search volume of those keywords. And what I do is I personally make sure that I'm including the keywords that show me the highest search volume for those keywords. And those are the strongest keywords that I want to use. Obviously, you want to find keywords that have high search volume and low competition, but that's not always the case. But if you can find those golden nuggets, those are the keywords that you're going to want to put in the beginning of your titles, in the beginning of your tags, and in the beginning of your descriptions. Because nowadays, Etsy is really honing in on those first few keywords that exist in your tags, titles, and descriptions, and optimizing for those keywords first. Not to say that you can't get picked up for other keywords that exist in your titles, tags, and descriptions, but Etsy is now recommending that you put the best foot forward, so put your best keywords first. So overall, doing proper keyword research and putting data behind your decisions is absolutely huge. And sometimes people get really tripped up with keywords and they like overthink it. But essentially the rule of thumb is you're just pulling keywords that are the best case scenario for your listing. If you do proper product research and competitor analysis, you're gonna know what keywords are your best case scenario, and you're gonna have a good group of keywords to then use for your listing before you even launch the listing. Now, as far as what keyword converts for you the best, you're not gonna know that until you start collecting data and running ads on that listing. don't leave it up to chance. Make sure you're producing your listings and optimizing them intentionally and setting yourself up for the best case scenario before you start spending money on paid traffic to those listings. Which brings me to the fourth biggest mistake that I see people doing. Spending money in paid traffic on non-optimized listings. So now that I've been consulting and taking on students in my Boss Come All In Masterclass, this has been coming up a lot with some of my students. They're spending a bunch of money on their listings and running ads really before their listings are even ready to spend money on ads. And what does that mean? They're not fully optimizing their listing with keywords. They're not putting a video. They're not looking at their competition and making sure that their value proposition is just as competitive as their competition. And so what they find is that when they start spending money on paid traffic, their ROAS, or their return on ad spend, is not profitable. And it's not profitable because one, if they're a new Etsy seller and you have, maybe 50 reviews compared to your competition who maybe has 20,000 reviews, and all of a sudden you're now bidding for those ad spots in your paid traffic, obviously your competition's still gonna win if you don't have optimized listings. And you also are a new seller, so you don't have a bunch of social proof or reviews on your store. So it's really important that every listing that you put out is fully optimized. You are competitive on your keywords, you're competitive on your value propositions, your photography, your videos, your descriptions, all right? All of that stuff should be intentional and thought out before you even launch it, and obviously before you start spending money on it. So one of the big complaints is, Hannah, I spent $1,000, but I only made $1,000, which puts me in the negative. One, that's actually kind of normal if you're first starting out. Honestly, you should be going a little negative when you start any business. But when I do go look at some of these, listings and analyze them, like, well, you're spending money on paid Etsy traffic for these listings that aren't even optimized, and you have no reviews, you have no social proof. Yeah, obviously you're gonna be a lot more negative than somebody who's starting out that does have all these things and spending money on paid traffic. So don't spend money on paid traffic. It's not even worth investing in the listing if you are not entering the marketplace knowing that you're competitive. And you should know that because you're doing the proper research up front. Also, I just wanna add in there that sometimes when people are first starting out and they start running paid Etsy ads, you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know what's good or what's bad, what KPIs or key point indicators you really should be looking at. But I will say, if you're running Etsy ads and you do have fully optimized listing, this stuff takes time. Like, Etsy indexes different niches differently. And one example that I always give to people, I have one fashion brand that literally was doing $10,000 months within the first 2.5 months, basically. I have another home decor brand that we didn't even see a 10K month really until like 3 months ago, and it's been open for almost a year. Different niches, depending on the search volume, depending on how competitive your products are, get indexed differently, even when it comes to your ad spend. My fashion brand, we were granted a $1,000 ad spend within like the first 60 days. My home decor brand, we weren't even allowed to get a $1,000 ad spend until literally like 4 months ago. So it's a pick of the draw depending on your niche, depending on the search volume for your niche, what Etsy allows and how much traffic Etsy gives to you. But overall, you want to be set. If you are going to start an Etsy business, it's in your best interest to set yourself up for the best case scenario on every part of this. Okay, and my very last, very big mistake that I see people make is, especially with Etsy, and I think like e-commerce in general, because a lot of people on YouTube as well, I think it's been tainted with this like idea that it's like easy in a sense. I could be wrong on that. Comment your opinion down below in the comment section. But I just know from getting a lot of comments and a lot of emails and a lot of even Instagram DMs about just like some things about e-commerce or Etsy in general. I feel like e-commerce has been tainted, like it's like almost get rich quick and like easy, but it's honestly not. It's a really, really fast-paced moving industry, and you have to be able to adapt and change and grow with the changes in the algorithms, with the changes in the trends, with the changes of all the updates between, whatever updates are happening in Etsy, or like now with Facebook, there was an iOS update that like ruined a lot of people's ads. And that's just the nature of this business. And the people that really make it in e-commerce are the people that are the most tenacious and the most adaptable to the new environment. So one really big mistake that I see now, and if you're a new seller watching this, this is really important for you to understand, is a lot of the older sellers that got into e-commerce when it was easier per se, because there was just no competition, got really comfortable with what they did, and they only know how to do things the way that they did them, meaning they could just throw up a listing without doing research. They could, afford not to spend money on ads because they were only one of 4 people selling that item. Now, because there's more competition, the tenacious people and the relentless people that have the most aggressive approach to building a successful business are the people that are going to win. And so now these older sellers that fundamentally it was easy to make a sale because they had no competition, they're seeing their numbers drop. And because they didn't adapt, or because they didn't spend money on paid traffic on Etsy, or because they didn't update any of their photography, they're seeing their numbers drop, they're seeing their rank drop because they're having competition in and taking those positions, those top positions. And what's even worse with that is that they built entire business models that when you do factor in, marketing costs, the formula of their business doesn't even make sense. So now, because they didn't leave a piece of the pie for marketing budget because they never had to spend money on ads, now their whole business model is messed up because it doesn't work anymore. And that's really, really dangerous. It's really dangerous for you to get comfortable in your business, in any business, not just e-commerce. So it's really important that you have an entrepreneur mindset, you have a growth mindset, you have an adaptable mindset that if something does happen that's kind of out of your control, you have to be tenacious enough to learn the new skill of running ads, to learn how to better your photography, to learn how to outsource, to acquire the skills that you need to have. I always take the approach in my business as this is freshman year all over again. Every single year that I'm in business, I'm in freshman year, meaning I am not the authority, I'm learning as I'm going. A lot of the things that I'm teaching on here, I'm learning in real time. I'm constantly learning. Being a business owner and being an entrepreneur, you have to have a growth mindset. You have to be open to learning new skills. And the second I hear a coaching student be like,
"Oh, well, I've never done that before, I can't do that."
It's like, okay, well, I'm telling you the solution to your problem. And if you're not willing to put in the work, then you're being your own worst enemy at that point, and I can't actually help you. So you have to have an adaptable, malleable mind and to be able to really become a competitive business. I still think there's thousands of products that haven't been launched online yet, and there is still a lot of opportunity to create super competitive products, especially if you can get really creative with your packaging and your marketing efforts and having something that people connect to or resonate with really well. I still think there's a lot of that opportunity. I did open up my BossCom All-In Masterclass to the public now. You actually can sign up for that now, which gets you an entire store audit with me personally. It gets you access to my 7-figure case study of my Etsy and Shopify store. It also unlocks all of my courses that teach one-off topics like operations and organization or setting up shop, so smaller courses that are also included, and all future courses that I launch, as well as an exclusive private Facebook group that's only filled with serious sellers that have purchased the course, and you can network and lean on that group to really help you with any other issues that you have. All right, guys, those were my 5 biggest mistakes that I commonly see that you should definitely try to avoid as you start your business or as you're running your business currently. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did get any value, please give it a thumbs up and comment your questions down below, or anything that you want to say. And I will see you guys in the next video.